Not true. Trump's name appears more times in the Epstein files than God's name appears in the book about God.
A pedocracy, not a democracy. Government ruled by pedophiles. And the media is on overdrive for the Epstein cover-up.
The Epstein files. There are none. There is no Epstein list.
Look at all the news articles. FBI concluded Epstein wasn't running a trafficking ring for powerful men. Same exact words in all left-wing and right-wing news media. Whenever you see this happen, it is because the entire media apparatus is under strict orders. That is incredible how much Israel has an airtight control over our media, FBI, and politicians. And what is to become of all the politicians and media who protect the pedocrats? Protecting pedos is only one step away from being as bad as a pedo, but it's the same punishment, and pedos cannot continue and exist without protection. The people will someday rise up, and when they deliver justice, those who protected the pedocrats will be given the same punishment as the pedos themselves. And this pedocracy is ridiculous. And for real, we've had revolutions for a lot less.
Welcome back to Scandalous Los Angeles TV, where we expose the exposers. Now that the Epstein files have started to come out, people are finally getting a glimpse of what's been happening behind the scenes, behind closed doors. And it's scary, because there are a lot of powerful names tied up in those files. Because of that, we're not seeing many prosecutions, which only confirms what a lot of so-called conspiracy theorists have been saying all along. At this point, these things can't even be called conspiracies anymore. What we're also learning is that in the industry, there are people who are in the club and people who aren't. There are those who want to be in the club and those who don't.
Some of you may not have realized that I'm not part of the club. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of the club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely know who they are. A lot of people would be like, what, who? Come on, man, stop playing.
And more often than not, the ones who desperately want in are the same ones you later start hearing certain things about. Things that reveal just how far they're willing to go to be accepted.
What? That's not what we're talking about.
I'm just telling you. You asking me dumbass questions. I don't live in Florida. Don't ask me nothing about that woman's kids. I don't know that woman like that.
But in the end game, like, how do you...
I'm waiting on the feds. I'm waiting on the feds. The end game is this.
Okay.
This the end game. Let's pull this crowd, and we're going to run the narrative that he played with kids.
But remember what the Bible says. There is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. And right now, we're living in a time where a lot is being exposed, and it's only about to get deeper.
I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to kill anybody. Or hurt anybody.
She was made to take a gun and put it up to someone's head. It was another child, and pull the trigger.
We found out she had been defecated on, that it was smeared all over her body and put in her mouth.
My children have talked about all of those things and worse. They've talked about having to kill other children.
How many babies did you say they had that night?
They only had one that I had to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made me scared. And then after that, they made me get on the table, and then they sodomized me.
Mm-hmm.
This is how truly disgusting these people are. And what they're doing reaches into the highest levels of government and the most powerful circles on this planet. This is real evil, happening right in front of us. In Matthew chapter 4, we see Jesus being taken up to be tempted by Satan. And one of the things the devil tells him is that if he falls down and worships him, he will give him all the kingdoms of the world.
My thought is everything has a price. There is not a number that can get you back in that ring. 80 million, 100 million.
Nah, because now you selling your soul.
$100 million, you can have my soul.
That's you. Now we know your character.
What you're seeing now is these men doing exactly that. This is how they believe you worship Satan, and they believe this is how they gain power. And if you want to be a part of their club, this is what they make you partake in.
That the Epstein files, it continues. It's even worse.
My dad kills babies and he eats the meat.
When the testimony came out just in the last few days, that's when they pump up the Minnesota. Pump up the Minnesota, beat a few more people up, kill a few more people. Get everybody to look over there. Don't look. And again, I'm not talking about just trafficking. I'm talking about outrageous snuff films. Snuff films. Snuff films. Murdering young, I would say, children, youth.
For those who may not be aware, a snuff film, sometimes referred to as a snuff video, is defined as a recording produced for financial gain that depicts an actual homicide. Material of this nature is reportedly being sold on the dark web at this very moment. And when you examine that reality, it becomes clear who the perpetrators are, and why they have been allowed to continue producing such content without facing prosecution.
They're supposed to be graveyards filled with missing kids, and no one knew who they were.
This is not entertainment. This is real. And now, for some reason, they're letting us see it. It feels like they're trying to desensitize us, to slowly condition us to accept it, to make it feel normal. But once you really start paying attention, once you see what's happening, you begin to understand why these Hollywood actors and musicians sit in front of cameras and joke about these things. They're telling us the truth, right to our faces, and most people don't even realize it.
Suck baby's blood and put it on my face.
I eat children. How old are you? 12. Oh, okay. Only to 10.
What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby. That's what it is.
Eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood.
That was Roseanne Barr talking to Tucker Carlson, telling him that these guys are vampires. And Tucker is sitting there acting like he doesn't know any of this. Like it's all brand new to him. Like it's just some joke. But Tucker knows exactly what's going on. He's fully aware. What about the guy on YouTube that has the most subscribers, Mr. Beast? Listen to what he says right here.
I did too, to be honest. It's a little weird because I know we're going to eat a $70,000 pizza later, so it's kind of hard to get hyped for like a $2,000 steak. You know what I mean? Really like, oh my god. Whoa. It's like slicing into a baby. It's like slicing into a baby. It's like slicing into a baby. More choice of words.
It's like slicing into a what? Why would he say that?
So Mr. Beast just said that it's hard to get excited about a $2,000 steak when you know where to get a $70,000 pizza. And people who understand these circles know that pizza is often used as coded language when it comes to dark, disturbing stuff. Then he goes on to say that the $2,000 steak was great because it was like slicing into a baby. And this is the kind of stuff that should make people stop and think. This is what's happening right in front of us. You should now understand why he has the massive following he has. This is Satanism right in people's faces, and they're playing it off like it's just jokes. And look at Adam 22. He's got Satan tattooed on his hand, and millions of followers. You really think that's a coincidence? You know the circles his father came out of. Same thing with DJ Vlad. This is all one big connected system.
The states are taking children, giving them to somebody else for money that they get from the federal government. That means that all 50 states are involved in government-subsidized child trafficking. It's a ring. It is the largest and most pervasive child trafficking ring in the history of the world by sheer money and numbers.
Children are seized unnecessarily from their families due to the federal aid entitled the Adoption and Safe Families Act.
It was put into law in 1997 by Bill and Hillary Clinton, and I said it that way on purpose. And it is a law that literally steals money from the Social Security Fund and gives this money to the states in order to incentivize them to kidnap babies.
To receive the adoption incentives or bonuses, local CPS must have more children. They must have more merchandise to sell.
Every child, once you've added it all up, is worth approximately $1 million to the state. But we've been told that this is a $60 to $80 billion a year industry, meaning the federal government is taking $80 billion a year and giving that money to all of the 50 states to kidnap children.
Parents are victimized by the system that makes a profit for holding children longer and bonuses for not returning children to their parents.
But their own statistics state that 83% of all children who are taken by CPS, Child Protective Services, are for unsubstantiated allegations, meaning never should it have happened in the first place. So that imagine anything else in the world where you know you get it wrong 83% of the time and you admit it, but you just keep doing it.
So you're telling this committee that the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call if they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with. And you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir.
Wow. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Do you know how many staffers the administration assigned to answering these phones and helping these kids? One staffer? Any idea how many hours a day this staffer was working?
No.
Maybe that's why there were 65,000 calls that weren't answered from these little kids, huh?
You really think any of these guys are ever going to speak on this? They'll talk about everything else in our community, but you think they'll ever touch this topic right here? And while all of this is happening around us, this is what black men in their 50s are doing.
His job ruined the plane. Trying to punch suck ass up, you fucking sucker, suck ass. Look down on the plane. Niggas made job ruined. Niggas made job ruined.
And what's the first thing they do when they get off that plane? They run straight to good old DJ Vlad and tell him all about it. It's crazy how our arguments and disagreements always end up turning into a big payday for people like Vlad. I know most of our people don't understand what's going on, but it's all gonna click for them when this adversary turns his sword on us again.
כולם על הרצפה. מינימום של מינימום תנאים, תגיד, אתה תצלמי, מינימום של מינימום תנאים. אין מרמלדות, אין שוקולדות, אין טלוויזיה, אין רדיו, אין כל מה שהיה כאן לקחנו, אבל חייב להיות עוד משהו אחד, עונש מוות למחבלים.
What do you think was done to them to make them all sit there in obedience like that? On their knees, with their hands behind their backs, and their heads down to the ground. What do you think was done to them to make them submit like that? These guys are fully protected to do what they're getting ready to do. You see how the feds move when they want to. They put a RICO on young Thug. They made sure to grab Big U. But when it comes to this situation, the feds aren't moving the same. And that should tell you everything you need to know.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay.
And it's not just the FBI. The Department of Justice appears to be moving the same way. The posture, the inaction, the silence. It all feels familiar. It reminds me of the Tupac and Biggie investigations. Assistant U.S. attorneys and officials who, at the time, refused to prosecute. That same pattern of hesitation, that same resistance. And when you see that kind of uniform reluctance across agencies, it raises a serious question about how high up something like this really goes.
Raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi,
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
that's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer. So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I am reclaiming my time, and when I reclaim my time, it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady's
reclaimed her time. I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say
I'll direct it to
what
you.
a massive cover-up.
No, I'm answering a question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is interrupted.
I'm not going to get in the gutter with this woman. She's doing theatrics.
In an interview last week, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche
You can't go off script.
said that any victim that wants to speak with the department has done so, hopefully. Well, thanks to the incredibly brave people sitting here behind you, we can actually ask them if that's true. Now, would the survivors and victims who are here please stand up one more time? Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and evidence? None. And of those of you who have not met, which is everyone, how many of you have reached out either individually or through a lawyer or representative to offer to provide testimony and evidence? All of them. And of those of you, all of you who have reached out, how many of you were denied or ignored by the Department of Justice? All of them. And despite the shameful and despicable efforts by Ms. Bondi and her department to intimidate you, how many of you are still willing to speak to the Department of Justice? All of them. Well, Ms. Bondi, it looks like you have some more witnesses to talk to. Gentleman's time has expired.
The reason they have such a difficult time prosecuting the people involved, or even releasing their names, is because the fallout would be immediate. If those names came out and charges were filed, the markets would crash overnight. These aren't minor figures. These are individuals who shape the direction of the economy, influence global systems, and move power at the highest levels. That's why they stay silent. That's why nothing is said. And that alone should tell you how serious this is. Like I've said before, you don't have to believe it. But the people who sit at the top, the ones who truly control the levers of power, they do believe it. And they act according to those beliefs. The real question now is, where is all of this leading? Because while everyone is focused on what's happening in front of us, something else is unfolding in the background.
If he can pull this off, we're looking at a new world order.
There's also going to be some look at the new world order that President Trump is creating. And, a lot of countries that were, whining about tariffs 6 months ago and saying that President Trump was going to harm their economies had pretty good years. And I think it's in part because people recognize that President Trump has made it so that we are the shining city on the hill again. We are the engine of global economic growth because the U.S. is really that strong again.
Battle lines for a new world order based on power are being drawn right now.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
And for those of you who don't know what the New World Order is, I'm going to let David Spangler explain it. David Spangler is an author who has written numerous books on spirituality, consciousness, and what's often called the New Age movement. He also served as the head of the Planetary Initiative for the United Nations. This is what he said, and you can fact-check this. No one will enter the New World Order unless he or she will make a pledge to worship Lucifer. No one will enter the New Age unless he will take a Luciferian initiation.